Hello, I'm Dr. Stephen Hassan with another episode of the Influence Continuum. And today I have two special guests with me. I'm very excited about doing this podcast recording. Dr. Rich Parker is a friend of mine for many years, and I credit him for helping me get into the world of forensic psychology by introducing me to Tom Gutile at the program in psychiatry and the law. And my guests participated in a session over Zoom for this esteemed think tank of forensic psychiatrists and psychologists. Dr. Rich Parker is an internist with 35 years of experience. He's served as the chief medical officer of the Beth Israel Deaconess Physician Organization, and most recently, the chief medical officer for Arcadia, a healthcare data and analytics company. Dr. Parker currently cares for patients part-time at the Care Dimensions Hospice in Lincoln, Massachusetts. And Rich's family has worked for 4 decades to help our other guest, Ramadan Shabazz, gain his freedom from imprisonment via a governor's commutation after serving 51 years in prison. And Ramadan, it's a joy and an honor to get to know you and to hear the story of Rich's families. And I think Rich, it's your wife's mom started it. Share a bit of the story for our listeners. Set the table for the story, and then we want to hear more from Ramadan about life inside. And you've been released a few months ago in 2023, and life, like learning how to deal with the outside mess that's out here. Rich, can you?
Where would you like to begin, Steve?
I would like you to start basically with your mother-in-law, maybe, in terms of the how you came to know Ramadan and got interested in committing so much time, energy, and now you are his host. He's staying at your house in his first months of freedom as he's getting his land legs, if you will, to get oriented. So,
Sure. The story goes back to 1983 when my mother-in-law, may she rest in peace, Marjorie Stryker, who was a teacher by profession, but she volunteered in the prison system through a Quaker program called Alternatives to Violence. And in that year, she met Ramadan, and I'll let him tell the story about their meeting and how they got started. But Marjorie was a very dedicated volunteer who thought that prisoners could do better, deserve better, and she assisted many prisoners become more full human beings. So that's how we got started. And then just to fast forward, after my mother-in-law passed, our family, my wife Chrissy and our 4 children all picked up the correspondence with Ramadan. He's an excellent writer. So we had letters going back and forth pretty much every week. We all visited him in prison. So that was the first experience for me. I had never been in prison before visiting Ramadan. So that was a learning experience for me and all of us. But I'll just pause right there since that's how we got started.
mm-hmm. And Ramadan, why don't you pick up the story from your point of view? Why don't you go back, Ramadan, to tell us who you were before you found yourself imprisoned?
Well, like all good Americans, I graduated high school in 1968. I had a good family, mother, father. I had 7 siblings, beside myself, 8 all total. We grew up in Roxbury, Dorchester part of Boston. And like I said, I graduated from JP in 1968. My family came from the South in 1960 here, and finished my schooling here. After graduation, I was working for the Boston Gas Company on McBride Street. For those out there who may remember the old McBride Street where Boston Gas Company was located. And at that time, Boston Gas Company was searching for particular students who graduated to work for their company. And I was chosen. I'm glad I was. Like, moving ahead, I was out of high school 15 months. And next thing you know, Uncle Sam knocked on the door. He says, "Come in, young man. We're taking you back. Back to where? Back to the United States Army." That's where I landed.
Well, you were drafted. Let's cut to the
Yeah.
chase. You didn't, this was not a voluntary thing.
That was, well, not that time. It was just totally drafted. Just come
Right.
on in without that. So today they have the draft. I mean, they have the just volunteers. Back
Right.
then it was just draft. Take you off the street and there you go. So after my return, I spent a month in Vietnam, and that month was crazy as hell. Well, can I use that word?
Of
It's
course.
crazy. And back then, in the early 70s, Vietnam was like the old Wild West. Everybody carried big guns and they used them. So that attitude, drugs, uh, failing to follow the commands. Every young man over at the time, 19 to 22 years old, was all young kids. And what do young kids do? Science tell you, brains are not fully developed today. So that's how he was acting, just like that.
Yeah, but my recollection of your story is on the bus ride after landing in Vietnam, someone was sniped and killed on your bus. So we're talking heavy trauma happening.
That's unfortunate. You know, the very first morning we landed, it was around 2 in the morning. It was, the doors open up, and the sergeant comes on screaming and yelling, "Hurry up, get off the plane, get off the plane." There's 300 of us on the plane. Get off the plane, get off the plane. Well, everybody went, why? The VC got the guns pointed on us at this airport, and they know you just landed. They know you guys are recruits, so get the hell off the plane. So, you know, of course, a young kid hearing it for the first time, I know I'm in a war zone, so what do? You got to respond to that. So the fear on everybody.
Fear is how I would respond.
Yeah, fear. So, you know,
Right.
So I get to the door, ready to come down the ramp, and the first thing I smell, my first smell of Vietnam was human shit. And I'm putting it like it is because that's just what it was. It smelled like shit, the whole country. What do you do with it when you got 500,000 people or more? Every day you burn it. So it was burning all day, all night. So
Wow.
that's what happened. So now, fast forward, of course, I get involved with drugs because that was going on. That was a popular thing to do back then. Heroin, LSD, marijuana, everyone was using, drinking, so on like that. And as I got discharged from the service, I came home looking for help. And at the time, the VA didn't know anything about post-traumatic stress disorder until 1980. So I went to the VA and JP asking for help. Hey, look, I'm not myself. I can't work. I don't know what's going on with me, you know, and can you help me? And the doctors, I met 2 doctors. They said, well, we know there's something wrong with your Vietnam veterans, but we don't know what it is. So I just turned around and walked out of the office because you couldn't help me. So you're telling me you can't help me, so I'm leaving. So fast forward again, my reactions to that, I guess I acted out. And I'm sorry I committed the crime in which I committed. But 2 men lost their lives. May I say their names? Give them the respect.
Of course, but you were traumatized. You had drug, addiction issues. You weren't getting help, and then you were involved with a crime, robbery, I believe.
Yeah, robbery, felony murder, and 2 men lost their lives. And I was originally sentenced to death on Old Walpole in 1972, March of 1972, and that's where my journey began. While I was there, I met a lot of old gentlemen who already had served 15, 20 years already. And they sit me down because I listened. And they just talked to me about how you do this time, kid. You're in forever. You don't know when you're getting out. You can't carry yourself like a retard. You got to know what you're doing because if not, someone will kill you. And at that time in Walpole, a lot of that was going on for those who know and in our age bracket know how Walpole was at that time.
Yeah.
And so getting attuned to a prison, setting my mind to that, I met 2 a principal and some college professors who saw me one day walking around the quad in Norfolk prison and to say, call me to the office, educational office. Hey, look, young man, you can get an education here while you're here. So, Boston University. I said, sure, why not? University of Massachusetts. So I got involved with that. And in 1980, I graduated with a bachelor's degree. And from that point on, the DOC at that time was very lenient. Men was getting furloughs, being at minimums. I got into my minimum move in 1983. I'm sitting in a room waiting for my best friend, Professor Ma Stryker, God bless her soul. She came in with a program, and she's talking, trying to explain what the program is going to be consistent of. I'm in a side corner bar talking to some guys about football. It was football season. And I was saying, hey, look, You should have took that bet, not knowing what she was talking about. She took this bet, and I took I won $25 on this game. So she said, excuse me. So I looked, I said, oh yes. She said, what's your name? I said, Ramadan. Ramadan? Yes, Ramadan. Okay, all right. So she moved out to talking. Now I'm cool now. I can't say anything. She done caught me. So she says, Ramadan, could you do me a favor? Sure, yes. Trying to even up now, you know. She said, could you come sit by me? Oh no, I'm all set. I'm good. I'm good. So a lot of guys in the room, they said, "Hey man, go ahead. She's an old lady. What can she do to you?" I said, "All right." So I came on down and sat beside. There was 3 seats. She had one in the open, and I sit the one that wasn't open. So she looked back at me again, right? Hey, I want you sitting right here next to me. I said, "Well, it's okay. I'm right here. I'm right here. I'm right here. Arm distance." She said, "I want you at this seat right here." So me being who I am, I got in the seat. And she continued talking. And as she was talking, explaining what was going on for the night, and she said, we'll start with looking around the room. I'm saying, gee, I hope this lady don't pick me. Shabazz, since you have so much to say, open up the topic tonight, because since you was talking, you have a topic. What is it? And I have no idea. So she said, when I'm talking, listen to me. So from that point on, I was a nice little kid.
And this was Rich's mother-in-law,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So, wow. So
It's a lot.
a lot to talk about. And as you may know from talking with me previously, I study brainwashing and mind control, and I have this model of behavior control and information and thought and emotional control, and, re-enter society as other civilized societies structure their system. So part of my hope and my agenda is not only to bring awareness to this and the fact of that really was a miracle that you progressed, became the best person you could be, and you were a model prisoner. And with Rich's help and his effort and the network and your wonderful lawyer, was it Mia Teitelbaum, that you pulled this off and that you're free. And so I want to raise people's consciousness around this whole topic. And I also would like people to hear your story, understand some of the challenges you've been facing since you've gotten out. And if they feel generous, maybe help to contribute to help you get a new start in your life. So that's my motivation to tell this story. And who knows, maybe a book deal and a movie deal might come out of this. So I just wanted to come back to my motivation in doing this topic. And you, for me, are a model of inspiration that, being sentenced to life in prison, not to mention the death penalty that Massachusetts abolished that, but the fact that you are who you are, and maybe we can make some really positive changes. So with that, I want to come back to you, Rich, if I may, and talk about, you met Ramadan, you went, what an exceptional person. I want to continue to do what I can. Talk about a bit more of the challenges, the journeys, the efforts to get the system to listen and to cooperate.
Sure. The history for those who have lived in Massachusetts for a long time is after the Willie Horton ad on TV and the Dukakis presidential campaign came out, the prison system fell down on giving prisoners more freedom to go out on furloughs, for example. And but nevertheless,
I'm going to interrupt for 1 second for our listeners who don't know Massachusetts and Willie Horton. It was the case of someone who was allowed on a furlough and then committed a crime.
Correct.
That then shut down the opportunities for other people.
Correct.
So
that is background. I think it made it even more challenging for prisoners to feel hopeful and to maintain that hope, and therefore do the work that they would need to do in order to better themselves and prepare themselves to be outside of prison. And I think what Ramadan and I have a very special, wonderful friendship now, but that's because we've been working together for a
Mm.
long time. But when I first met him, I thought, okay, who is this guy? And what is he up to? And I quickly realized that here is a guy who, even though he's been told you're never getting out of here, he did not give up hope, and he continued to work in every way possible, including caring for other prisoners with mental illness, which is a topic near and dear to my heart because I feel that mentally ill people are not well understood in our society, and they need a lot of help and they need a lot of compassion. And I saw that he had that for mentally ill prisoners, and that touched me. And that he wasn't.
Yeah, and I want to add that you are involved with
Yeah.
NAMI, which is a very important
Yes,
organization
I
you can
volunteer.
plug.
I volunteer for NAMI as a family support group facilitator, and I'm on the Cambridge Middlesex NAMI board. But
Mhm.
my point is that I saw in Ramadan the ability to work, no matter how long the odds. He was going to work at it and not give up.
Mm.
And it was that attitude that I found very motivating. And frankly, that his attitude motivated me to say, okay, since I am on the outside and I am a privileged guy, I'm going to see what I can do to help him get out, which in part meant hiring different attorneys. You mentioned Mia Teitelbaum. She's our current attorney who has done a magnificent job with Ramadan, helping him through the commutation process. And I also really need to publicly thank Charlie Baker, our prior governor, who was willing to start the commutation process, which heretofore hadn't been done for a very long time.
Mm-hmm. And Ramadan, I'd like to just come back to your faith because when we talked at the forensic think tank, you talked about how this was a major motivator for you to continue to have that willpower, that faith, that determination to do good.
Well, as I said before, I'm a Muslim. I believe staunchly in one God, and I try and practice that all throughout my life. More so behind the walls because that's what gave me the strength each day to get out of bed and go for another day. Not still knowing that I'm not going to probably not get out of prison. So being a Muslim and working hard towards that gave me the inspiration to help even more people who was worse off than I was. And you say, well, all prisons are the same. Well, we're not. You have some prisons who are a little sharper than others, some are not. And I was blessed to be involved with a companion program that helped at Bridgewater State Hospital that helped the mentally ill people. And I also worked at Worcester State Hospital back in the 80s when I was out on furloughs before the Horton incident happened. So I had about 8 to 12 years of working with in the mental health fields. So I have experience with that greatly. And during my experiences at Worcester State Hospital, I work with male and female senior citizens as well. And I seen that I thought I was bad, but then I started listening to some of their stories, and that made me even fight even harder for myself because they give me the strength to go another day. And that day that I come in, I try and give it back to them. They give it back to me. So it worked because I'm free now. But
Right.
I'm just thankful that I had the opportunity to be in those places to do the things I did to do who I am today.
Right. So another part of your story related to your conversion to Islam is that you did a name change, which meant your birth certificate didn't match your name, and share some of the challenge of like assuming your identity, getting a driver's license, getting a bank account. Share some of that of things that most of us never think twice about. We just assume, of course, you gotta, get
I
stuff.
assumed too before they opened the doors for me to March 13th that everything could be working out. So when I come out, the first thing I heard the word mass ID. Well, all I have is this picture of my incarceration where I just got released the day before with, on cardboard. And they said, that's not an ID. I said, it has everything that's needed. That's not it. You need a real ID. So from that point on, I was in trouble. And that was 4 months ago. I still have not received an ID, mass ID. So
So, Rich, talk about what you've been going through and how ridiculous this is.
So I learned a lot about this company, Vital Checks, that is the intermediary for supplying birth certificates around the country. In straightforward cases, it works fine. You pay the money, they send you the birth certificate. But in Ramadan's case, because he legally changed his name, I believe in 1979,
1979.
because he changed his name, his current name, Ramadan Shabazz, is not on his birth certificate. His birth name is James Hall. So that little technicality has created months of pain and chagrin as we tried to follow the rules time after time after time. And we even got our state representative, this was actually your suggestion, Steve, which was excellent, Representative Jake Auchincloss, who kindly wrote a personal letter for Ramadan to release his birth certificate. And his chief of staff went twice to the Office of Vital Records in Washington, D.C., and that did not suffice. So we are now on our third attorney, who has worked with local Norfolk Probate District Court, where his birth certificate actually sits because it was brought up here at the time of the name change. And knock on wood, fingers crossed, I think today we just received word that the registry will release an ID for him. So stay tuned, folks, and we hope even by tomorrow we're going to have it in our hot little hand.
Yeah, yeah.
Great. But then that means he can open a bank account in his name. Talk about some of the challenges that an understanding, like Ramadan, you were saying, I don't know how to use a phone.
Man,
like
the biggest.
It was on Do Not Disturb, and it's like, I'm not getting any calls. And it's like, yes, flip this switch. It's like, because you didn't have smartphones in the 70s or 80s.
90s
right?
or 2000s either. But
Right.
that was one of the biggest things. My challenges is right now is the phone. Never mind the computer, just the phone, just being able to work with that. I look at it this way: as long as I can contact my parole officer and contact my family, I'm all set. All the other stuff is peripheral.
Mm.
And a lot of places
Mhm.
I go to for various meetings I have at the VA now, I say, well, I'd rather come in instead of go over the phone. I mean, I'd rather meet people face to face, because that's the way I was brought up. That's the way that's in my heart, in my mind. People like to see each other's expressions. You may have more to ask at that particular time than on a Zoom or whatever like that. So I feel comfortable doing that. But however, I'm learning the science. I'm learning the technique slowly but surely. It's difficult. So all I can say is this: there'll be a lot more people coming out like myself.
Yeah, step by step. And I'll just add that Leslie Van Houten, who I've written letters for over the decades, she was in the Manson cult and unfortunately committed murders, just got paroled from California. So for me, I'm thrilled for her. But coming back to life at the Parker house, Rich and his wife have opened up their house to you. Talk about what you need and what your plans are. I think you want to, get an apartment, get a job. Talk about some of the plans that you are.
Well, some of the things,
working out.
but first and foremost, get the ID. Once I have the ID,
Right.
then I can start moving around, trying to find a job. I have some job opportunities available. And like I say, I need the ID to check in. One particular job I have, I pass out food to senior citizens that's in JP, Jamaica Plain Project. And we do that Tuesdays and Wednesdays afternoon. And I enjoy doing it. I want to work with something like that. I also want to be involved with the mentally ill field of life as well, because I think my energy, as far as I'm concerned, would be beneficial for the people I may be working with. And the second thing is I work with juveniles as well. I go to a program on Thursdays afternoon at Charlestown reentry program. A lot of young men coming out, and women as well, coming out, and I'm there. They see my picture, they remember my picture, they remember my face, so we start a conversation. I try and let them know, even though I've only been out 4 months, but this is the technology, these are the problems I'm having, you got to deal with it. And they tend to listen. And that's all I want, just listen.
Ramadan,
Yeah, I do want to say your picture was on the Boston Globe front
Yes.
page more than a few times. It was really quite an inspiring story for everyone who read it. And so, when you say people recognize you,
Yeah.
hopefully they will, more and
Yes.
more.
Yes.
Steve, I wanted to add that I think a really important part of Ramadan's story is his relationship with his partner, and they've been together for many, many decades. And I think it would be important for folks to hear a little bit about how the two of you have stayed together all these years and what your plans are, and that she actually lives with us here too. So we can't
Oh,
leave her.
she
Yeah.
moved up
Awesome.
from Florida, or she was
Yeah, but
somewhere?
she was in Florida. She's planning. We're planning on moving up here anyway, bringing her up here. Hopefully, we can get married as soon as I get this ID squared away situation. Then moving out as usual as well. So it's everything time, and she's been with me the whole entire time I've been incarcerated. We have ups and downs, but that's
Mm,
life. Everyone has up and downs. But I can say she was God sent. I'm a happy camper. I do everything I can for her as well as she can do everything for me. So, and the Parkers,
mm,
it's just one big family, man. It's just wonderful that people who took it upon themselves to accept me and my partner into their home on a daily basis, and we're part of the family. I mean, this
yeah.
family is it's just a great, great feeling that people today can allow themselves to open up their hearts and their homes for people like me. And I truly, truly am blessed and thankful for this.
Yeah, it's a wonderful role model too for everyone to think about. Yes, it's time, it's energy, it's financial, it's sharing your space, but the learning, the joy, the fulfillment, the mattering that I think Rich, you and your family can feel like you've really done
Mhm.
something wonderful and magnificent. And I'll never forget when I first met you, Ramadan. We went to Newton Center and went to an Indian restaurant. I think it was your first Indian food in decades. And you were just like a little boy, just like, love this buffet. I'm going to go get some more. It's really yummy. It's really
Yeah,
great. And then you showed me a video of the first time you saw the
yeah,
ocean in 50 plus
yeah.
years, and the joy in your face. It was just, it touched me so deeply in my heart, because I could kind of feel your joy, because we take
Yeah,
things for
yeah.
granted like all the time, and we don't realize that life's a gift, and just being alive is an awesome opportunity.
Well, I may add with the trip to Cranes Beach, the first time Dr. Parker, called him Rich, took me and said, "We're going to Crane Beach." So I get in the car, he's driving up. I'm saying to myself, wow, it's a long place to get to the beach. Because I've been growing up with just around the corner, so to speak. So we're driving along, he was asking me questions, I'm talking. So we get up there and I'm start smelling the ocean for the first time. I'm smelling the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, the salt. As we walking up to the beach and I'm looking at, wow, as soon as I get to the top where you look out to the ocean, I'm saying to myself, this is the Atlantic Ocean. Wow. And it was a windy day that day, very, very windy. But I didn't feel it.
I
I didn't feel the
remember.
cold. Feel like I was just floating along the whole walkway, just floating. And
Yeah.
the joy of being that and at that moment in time for me was uplifting and spiritual
Yeah.
because I'm walking with my best friend and he's taking a picture of me looking at the ocean for the first time in 50 something years. So, whew, you all just don't know.
Yeah, it's marvelous. It's really wonderful. So, can you say some more about your plans? So you're gonna get your ID, you're gonna get a bank account, you'll learn how to drive, you're gonna get
Yeah,
employment. Hopefully, you'll make some
yeah,
money, put some money in the bank, get an
yeah.
apartment. What other things are in your bucket list
Well,
of things
I,
you
I
want to
like to I
do?
like to take a boat ride, a cruise, but I can't leave the state right now. However, I
Right.
have to be within the state, and one of my friends are offering to take me and my partner Elaine to the boat ride. I think this Sunday somewhere. around the city of Boston.
Oh,
So, that'll be a wonderful sight for me anyway. Everyone there on the boat has
yeah.
done it but me. So it'd be my first time. I'd be like being in the Indian buffet again. Wow, I can eat all this I can eat. So I'm just waiting for Sunday to come around. I hope it's a great day. Sun's not, it's raining. It's not raining, I'm sure I say, and it's not pouring down. So I'm just waiting, waiting, and waiting. So hopefully Sunday will be a great day, and I'll probably let you know how I went.
Yeah, it's awesome. So have you been to a movie theater yet?
Yeah, my wife wanted to see a movie where a famous African American violinist for his time period in France. I can't think of the movie now, but he played with the I guess Beethoven and all those guys.
Was it Tar? Was it the movie Tar?
No, it wasn't named Tower. No, it was a great, great movie. The first time I've been there, the surround sound, the big movie screen. Wow, it just the music went all through me. The sound went all through me. I also went to a ballet, and I went to that, and I went to the Alvin Haley's dance ballet also.
Oh,
Well,
I love Alvin Haley.
yeah,
Wow, they're
we
great.
we even went to a dance session before they went to the ballet. We were all of us, my partner, Rich, Chrissy, we all went there. We just going along, floating along, and just hey, it was just outstanding for me. I was like a kid.
Yeah,
Sorry, I was like a kid.
yeah. And have you heard Rich play violin in
Uh,
his symphony?
yes, every day,
Multi-talented physician.
every day he plays here, right? He's warming up, but he invited me to a Harvard, MIT concert,
Yeah.
and at MIT, and it was great. He played wonderfully. The whole orchestra played outstanding. I really enjoyed that. Up front seats, close, and the sound, the music, it was going through me. I just felt good that I could be in a place like that, coming from a place where I just came from. So it was exciting. Everything I do now is new, and it's going to continue being new until I get used to it. And I don't
Yeah,
get used to it because everything's going to be new.
yeah, it's great. So, question, I assume you still have family members who are alive. Have you reconnected with anybody?
Slowly
Um,
but surely now, Steve. Slowly but surely, I'm coming in contact with them. As time goes on, they're all adults now. They have their children, and their children have children. So they'll have their own lives and things like that. So I try not
mhm.
to come into their lives because I've been out their lives for 50 years.
Right.
So, but I don't want to come in forcefully. I'm big brother. Listen to me. No, I don't want to do that because they've been doing without me for all this long. So I don't want to step on anyone's toes. So I respect.
Well, I'd love to be part of sponsoring or co-sponsoring a party get
Mhm.
together somewhere
Mm.
and invite whoever you want to invite
I hear you.
and have a environment where it's non pressure, just like have some food, have some music, and you know,
Uh,
step by step, little things would be really awesome. So, have you started journaling yet or dictating? Because I really want to encourage you to write a book.
Yeah, well, I'm keeping tabs of the very little things that are stands out in my mind. Like this ID situation, the time we met at the Indian bar buffet, and now, and the last time we had a couple weeks ago. It's just a lot
Hmm.
of things I'd be doing about that's important to me. The
Right.
ballet, Rich Planner's orchestra, things that I've never done before. Walking Crane Beach, all those things. People I've met as well throughout my journey so far and the people I come in contact with. It's just one big happy, as far as I'm concerned, family around. Everyone's trying to surround around me to like, help me get myself together and stay on my feet and stay focused on myself and the people around me. So I need
That's
that because I'm in a new environment as far as I'm concerned. This is new to me,
right.
and I need all the help I can get to keep me
Hmm.
grounded. Not that I'm going to go out and do anything stupid. If I did that already, I'm all set. I'm an old man now. I'm pushing 74. And I'm moving forward, not backwards. So that's what
Right.
it's all about to me, moving forward, not backwards. So
So I'm curious, what are you interested in learning? I mean, you've talked about liking to help people with mental health challenges, elderly people. Do you have any things that really turn you on? Like, I love social psychology. I love learning, techniques to help people get better. Is anything, kind of stimulating you to say, I want to know more about that?
Well, one thing that I enjoy doing, just Sunday, me and my partners, we went down to Boston Commons, and just sitting around looking at all the people, the different nationalities, the different languages. Before it was just English. Now there's a wide range of languages out here that I never heard before, people I
Hmm.
never seen before. So all
Hmm.
that to me is new. And just sitting there listening to people, I speak, I have my Vietnam veterans hat on. You know, they say, thank you for your service. I'm proud to do that. And I let them know that I wear this hat not only for myself, but for my comrades, brothers, men and
Right.
women who didn't return home. So I wear the hat in their now, in their honor, because they didn't make it. They didn't come home.
Yeah.
You know, like they took us, and like I say, a lot of them didn't make it. 59,000 plus didn't come back home. So I
Yeah.
wear for that. But all in all, being outside with people every day is my goal right now. Until I get tired of doing that. But I don't think I will, because there's so many interesting and fascinating people in this country that I
Yes.
never knew this country. Well, put it this way: when I was a kid going in elementary school and junior high school, the teacher talked about a melting pot. Well,
Mm.
we are living in it today. I am anyway. I'm surely a melting pot, and it's
Mm.
exciting to me because I didn't come with that as the years progressed with everyone else. I'm coming out to it now, so it's like new. So that's what I want to get into doing. Meeting the people, just listening to what they have to say, appreciating conversation and things like that. So
Okay. Now I have a challenging question for you both. So, if you had the President of the United States ear, and what would you say needs to be done to reform our criminal,
mm,
justice system?
Well, let me take a crack at that. So, first of all,
Please.
yeah. So, one of the things Ramadan mentioned earlier, but we didn't really get into it, was his remorse about the loss of the two men who were killed, Mr. Thorne and Mr. Jeffries. And in the three times that I testified on Ramadan's behalf, I always started by saying, we need to remember the two men whose lives were lost,
mhm,
because their
Right.
families suffered more than anybody suffered.
Right.
And having said that, I think that Ramadan is testament to the concept that your life is not reflected in one day where you did one terrible thing in one day. And he did
Mm.
do a terrible thing on that one day, but he has told me so many times how remorseful he is for that and all those circumstances, and takes responsibility for it. I think it's very important for people to understand out there that people who've committed crimes, they have to take responsibility. They have to pay the price. However, the price shouldn't be forever.
mm,
And it's only the United States that incarcerates people. Well, maybe there are a couple exceptions, like maybe Afghanistan and China and Russia, but Western countries, Australia, do not incarcerate people for life if the prisoner becomes a full human being again. And so, what I would say to President Biden is, don't throw away the lives of people who've been locked up because they committed a crime. Give them an opportunity for redemption, for recovery, for becoming a full human being and becoming a contributor to society. And let's give people the tools to do that. And that is what I would ask of our Massachusetts legislators and the Department of Correction is, let's work harder to help people become good citizens so that they can get out of prison, not at the cost of the taxpayer, but become contributors again in our society, where a lot of people from prison actually have a lot to contribute.
Mm. Nice. Ramadan, your turn.
well, I'll take you back in history so you can understand why I say what I say today. Back in the days in the 70s and 80s, the DOC allowed us to have applications. Applications mean make your own money, help support your family, make, wood business, uh, leather businesses, making handbags, pillow business, making pillows, and we could sell them to the public. So these things we were selling, and our family reap the benefit of it. Us making money and sending it home to the family and kids and things like that, helping the wives out. And all of a sudden, someone come with an idea, stop it, stop the program. So now the state is got to take up what we was trying to help our families do, support them. Now the state got to take more money from the public. Say we need to give more money to these people here. But on the other side of that, when I was in minimum, I worked at Worcester State Hospital, as I mentioned. They took that away when Willie Horton came down because again, he was making money, you're helping your family out. You're
Sure.
trying to help society. And like I'd rather be working on the outside than being on the inside and not contributing to society. I'm
Right.
just costing more money having me sit around doing nothing when I could be outside every day in the community. If I have a bracelet on, fine. If I'm let me walk around free, it's up to me to return. Then so that's fine too. But just sitting in the prison, just waiting. It's just people I know along the way gave up, and they're not here now. But I had to
Yeah.
keep the faith. I had family, friends to keep pushing me, and that helped me push myself even more. So I
Wow.
would tell the president of the United States, so open up the doors, give people a chance. If someone does make a mistake for the second time, then they have to suffer the punishment. I mean, come on, you got a shot, you got an opportunity, don't blow it. This is it.
Right.
You was doing life, now you're doing in the community now. Don't blow it again. So give us that one shot, one opportunity. And I think
Right.
one shot for everyone to be it's up to them. It's up to them to make the decision what they want to do after that.
Right. So I'd like to add that I think it was a huge mistake to privatize the prison system and incentivize lawyers and judges and states to incarcerate people for things like having a joint, even. Um, and instead of the government running it as, okay, we need to have a system of, checks and balances. If people are violating the social good, if they're dangerous, we have to protect the public. But on the other hand, where it's much more of a consciousness of this is a human being and they should have dignity, and they deserve opportunities to be educated, and as you were saying so articulately, to give back, to stay in touch with their families, to help their families financially and such. And I guess I just I had I'm thinking, Rich, when you said it was my first time in prison, visiting a prison, and I had my first experience a number of years ago. Actually, a podcast host named Jordan Harbinger decided he would celebrate his 40th birthday at a Max, California prison, and invited guests and people who were his followers to a program called, I think it was called Hustle 2.0. And it sounds similar, Rich, to your mother-in-law, where universities were bringing people in and helping give college educations and even master's degrees, and teaching, and we were like assigned different roles, like teaching inmates how to do a job interview, uh, and to help them identify skills that they have, but they may not think is something they could actually parlay into a business
Sure.
when they get out, and to create mentorship outside the prison so that people have a path to exit. And I met people who were said, like, I was in solitary for 15 years. And I'm like, solitary for 15 years? Are you kidding me? And like, no, it was really,
Yeah.
and I can't imagine surviving in solitary. Like in my opinion, it's cruel and unusual punishment
Yes, it is.
because humans are social beings.
It is. It is.
Anyway, it was life-changing birthday party to celebrate him, but I like that he did it to give to others, and provided an opportunity to both the prisoners and us privileged, people on the outside. And a number of the people, like you said, Rich, they had one bad day, and they're still paying a price, and it's such a shame. So I guess, I don't have any other questions other than I really want people to take to heart that there are real human beings that are loved and are cared for and who deserve a chance, and that we can really make an effort, especially if people are retired. Maybe they have a heart to volunteer and go into the prison system and start teaching, and to or to donate money to get books in there and to share and teach skills, and things like that. And Ramadan, do you have a GoFundMe page? Am I
Yes,
misremembering that there's a GoFundMe?
yes. It still should be there. Yes.
So we're going to do a blog with that accompanies this video, and we'll put the link in there if people want to be in touch with you
All right.
and such. And I just, as we're wrapping up, Rich, you want to say some last words, and then Ramadan, you get the last word for this.
Okay.
I would just like to thank you, Steve, for reaching out to us and giving us the opportunity to tell our story, which I think is worth telling. I mean, here we have a privileged white Jewish guy, and we have a Black Muslim man, and we're very good friends. And I think that in and of itself is good. We take pleasure in that, and we feel that we've accomplished a lot, and we're going to accomplish more in the future. So thank you, Steve, for the opportunity.
And
In
I would,
my honor.
yeah, I would like to end this letting the outside world know that I am truly sorry for what I've done to Mr. Calvin Thornton and Mr. Jeffries. I have to give them to their family and their respect to them. That I did something to their families that can never be taken back. And I'm truly sorry for that. And I want the public to know my heart is still with their families, Mr. Thornton families and Mr. Jeffries families, for the wrong and the trouble and the pain that I put upon them. I'm truly sorry. I'd like to end with that, to give them their respect.
Thank you so much, and let's have lunch soon again.
Indian buffet.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you so much, guys, and peace, and thank you for being you, both of
Hey.
you.
Thanks for being you.
Be seeing you around there, Steve.
Yeah.
Have a best day, you and your
Great.
family.
Steve Hassan here. You know, it's been decades since my family rescued me from the Moonies. I've been at this for over 47 years. The need has never been greater. If you're able, please consider hitting the Super Thanks button below, and it'll help us to do better. Every penny will help us toward our goal of educating the planet about undue influence. Remember, it's your mind, only you should control it.